This watch has an integrated bracelet, a Revelot Gentus design made infamous by Patek Philippe, and it only costs $289. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Microbrand Revelot have sent me two prototypes from their latest line of watches called the Gentus. These aren't final production models, but I don't have to send them back, hence the paid promotion tag. Obviously that won't affect my review whatsoever, nor have the brand had any copy approval or anything like that. As these are prototypes, obviously there will be some changes on the production models, but I'll cover those as and when. Without further ado, let's go through the specs of both of these watches, let's cover the pros and the cons, and then give them a final score. We've got two models here then, the 40mm Seiko NH72 powered automatic variant and the 36mm Swiss quartz one. Both have pretty compact lug-to-lug measurements of 45 and 40mm respectively. Both are pretty slim at just under 12mm for the auto and just under 9mm for the quartz. They each have a sapphire crystal and push-pull crowns, giving them 50 meters of water resistance. There is a bit more heft to the automatic, that weighs 150 grams, which, that's dive watch territory. The quartz, on the other hand, weighs just 120 grams. That's without removing any of the links. Everyone's favourite specification, though, is the price, and the early bird pricing on these two, when it launches in a couple of days' time, is $289 for the automatic. That's roughly £232. And $195 for the quartz, which is roughly £157. I think that makes these potentially very compelling Christmas presents. If you're watching this in June or February or whatever, then, it's getting earlier every year. Yeah, it's Christmas. Right, come on, pros time. So there's the price, which is always the biggest factor for me when deciding whether or not to buy a watch. Then there's this design. I'd love to one day own the original Patek Philippe Nautilus. The example on screen now costs just over £56,000, and I've got 21p. See, that's €1. Will come in hand. I should keep that holiday train ticket valid 17th of November 2023. So it could be worth something one day if that date rolls around again, especially. It's safe to assume that I won't be owning one anytime soon. The Nautilus was designed by Revelot Gentus, hence the name of this, the Gentus. Gentus sounds like the denomination of the male bathrooms in a Latin-themed pub. It's a distinctive, instantly recognisable design, and the finishing that Revelot have coupled it with for this price is excellent. The bracelet links have candy bar-like polished chamfers and a vertical brush that contrasts well with them. The bezel has the same vertical brush with polished chamfers around the octagonal edge. The dials are perhaps the showstoppers here though, particularly the gear shade dial on the quartz variant. A see-through dial is fine, but I think on this colourway, it means the dial text and logo sort of disappear. You can see the movement ticking away though. The automatic variants all use Seiko calibers, while the quartz is a Swiss Ronda, which is labelled as such on the Rehaut at 6 o'clock. The handsets are nicely finished and match the colour of the indices, and on the quartz, the second hand lines up perfectly with every marker. The dimensions work well on both big and small wrists. Here's the 36mm variant on my girlfriend's wrist, and here's the 40mm on my 6.5-inch wrist. Neither dominate the wrist thanks to the slim case profile and the fact that the lug-to-lug isn't all that relevant given the integrated bracelet. So it wears well, but I've got to say this colourway isn't for me. Luckily, there's a few different colours to choose from, including a pretty compelling aventurine option and a Milgauss-inspired green and orange one. This is a sort of gunmetal grey with a bronze-like trim. I don't know how to explain it, but to me, this colourway screams the sort of watch you'd see on somebody at an airport. I personally know what I mean by that. You might not know what I mean by it, or you might, but I just think I'm referring to the kind of garishness. It's a loud combination of colours. But we were still talking about the pros, right? Did we move on to the... Did I put the graphic? Should probably put the graphic in here. This is a subjective place to start with the cons, but I think that Roman numerals on this design just don't work. You can see when the two dial variants are side by side. I think the baton indices make the dial feel so much more in proportion. The Roman numerals are big and dominate the dial, or so it would seem. The baton markers are actually proportionally the same size, but the Roman numerals make them look much bigger on the automatic. I also think those numerals clash with the somewhat sporty nature of the watch. The Nautilus is, after all, a sports watch, and I think it should have at least 100 meters of water resistance. The Patek that it's modeled after has 120 meters, and that's much more in keeping with the whole sports watch vibe. The only other negatives for me are apparently going to be resolved on production models, and that's the lume and the bracelet. As you can see, the lume isn't here for a good time or a long time. Revelot have said that there will be more applications on production models though. Ditto the bracelet, not more lume on the bracelet. I just mean the butterfly clasp and the lack of micro adjustment options. They should be resolved because they're going to include 2 half links on those production models. This prototype on me was either too tight or too loose, the latter of which is a problem that your mum has too. So that's it, final score time. A legendary design, but now with a price that won't bankrupt your family for 5 generations. It's an early bird price though, so if you do want it, don't hang about. There's some excellent finishing and fancy flourishes like the see-through dial and the gear shade dial designs. I think the 50 meters of water resistance is a bit of a letdown, and getting the right size for me was difficult. That should be resolved on production models with those half links though. Overall, a perfectly respectable 7 out of 10. Let me know what you think of these in the comments below, and if you want to pick one up, there is a link in the description to Revelot's website, but it's not an affiliate link or anything like that. And we are so close to 6,000 subscribers. If you're not subscribed, why not? Subscribe now, and when we get to 6,000, I'm going to be giving away the Lume Pip custom watch. But to be in with a chance, you do have to be a subscriber, so hit that button. Also give the video a like if you liked it, and hit the bell to be notified every time I upload, which, like I say, it's like once a week, twice a week maybe, but it's not going to be loads of notifications, you know, you're not going to be super popular all of a sudden. Thank you to Revelot for sending these in for review, and most importantly, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.